Hello. The lesson I'm sharing with you today is the parable of the banquet. And depending on when you do this lesson, you might be doing it with older kids, at which point you'd be able to get a lot more in depth about metaphor and comparing and contrasting their own lives to the message of the parable. The younger ones with the early learners, the young learners, then you probably just teach the lesson and not expect a lot of discussion afterwards, although it is a great opportunity for them to begin to build in the understanding that sometimes a story is more than just a story. Sometimes a story tells us something very big about God. And of course, just like always, you'd welcome the kids, whatever age, into the classroom, give a little bit of time for those kids that straggle in. And during that straggling time, you might call it, I usually spend a little bit of the circle time talking about going around and learning people's names, talking about the season of the year. Depending on when this lesson is taught, you might talk about the most recent holiday that came up. If Christmas or Easter has just passed, you might ask them about any travel that they did or ways that they spent time with family. If it's just a sort of in-between time when there doesn't seem to be a major topic to discuss, it's always helpful to go around and say, let's share our name and our favorite flavor of ice cream, or our name and our favorite animal, or if we could have any superpowers, what would they be? Whatever you choose as the topic, just going around and kind of building connections with the kids and calling them by name and giving each of them the opportunity to be known and to be attended to individually in the circle. And it also helps the kids to get to know one another better and refresh their memory about each other's names and kind of find commonalities between them. So getting to know them a little bit better. Once you feel that they've all arrived, then you would change the circle of the church year. So you'd add to what's already existing on the calendar, go forward one square to demonstrate the process as we get closer to Advent, closer to Lent, or if we're in the midst of common time. The kids always want to know about Pentecost, so you might want to kind of pay tribute to that as they go around. So it's a common thing for them to look at that circle and to see where they are in relation to major holidays and events in the circle of the church year. I think that's about it. After you've had an opportunity to get them all gathered, something I do, especially with the younger kids, is I remind them that in a moment we're going to have some time for storytelling, and it will be an opportunity for me to share the story, and later you will get to tell the story or touch the story or interact with the story. But in the beginning, it's just my turn to touch it, and as you get farther in the lesson, it'll be your turn to touch it. And that really helps to troubleshoot that and prepare the kids for the fact that it's okay for them to want to touch the story, but there's a time and a place for that. With the younger kids also, I will say when I snap my fingers, that's your cue that you may touch the story, but until then, it's just a time to listen. It's time to sit and learn. So just a little tidbit that helps a lot, just to troubleshoot, so you're not having to fend off their hands and interrupt the story by kind of resituating things over and over. If you say it ahead of time, then you know that it's understood. Okay, well, I'm going to get started on the lesson, and I'll angle this down so that you can see what I'm doing. Let's begin. All right, friends, are you ready for a story? Are you ready to learn something new? Maybe build on something you already knew. Maybe look at something in a new way today. You're older than you were last time you were here. You've lived more life since last time you were here. So we may have a new story or an old story to you. But either way, you are a new person. I wonder about this. Have you ever seen a box like this? It looks kind of special because it's gold. Usually gold things are kind of fancy or more expensive or valuable. It's made of wood though. It's not really made of anything fancy. Parable is a funny thing. And I just gave away what's in here, but many of you know that inside a golden box is a parable. And a parable is a funny thing because just like a locked door, sometimes we try to understand a parable and it's like we just can't quite open it, can't quite get in. And another day we might come to that same door and it will open right up, ready to learn from. Parables are funny things like that. Let's see what we have for our parable today. I wonder what we're going to learn about. I wonder what story we have here that will teach us. You might remember that a parable is like a little story that tells about a big idea. So let's keep that in mind as we begin. Look at this. Goodness, it's big. I wonder what this could be. It's so green. Shaped kind of like a square. It has round edges. You've seen things like this before if you've been here. Could be like a blanket. Maybe I could get underneath if I feel cold. You think it's a blanket? Maybe it's a rug to walk on top of. Maybe it's a grassy field where you could lay down and take a nap. Or throw a football. Or play hide and go seek. What could this be? Kind of looks like the top of a picnic table, doesn't it? Could put things on here. Food and other things, drinks and napkins to have a picnic. Kind of looks like a table. That's all we need to get started. Are you ready? I'm excited to share this story with you today. You may know that once there was someone who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people began to follow him. They wanted to be close to him and hear what he was going to say and see what he was going to do. And as they followed him, he told them about a kingdom of heaven. But they didn't really understand. They had never been to such a place. They'd heard the word kingdom before, but they didn't really understand what a kingdom of heaven was about. And they didn't know anybody who had really been to the kingdom of heaven. It was hard for them to understand. Well, one day, the man said, the kingdom of heaven is like this. Once, a person invited many people to a special feast, a really nice dinner, a great banquet. Here he is. See this person? I just realized it's probably kind of hard to see from the camera. Well, he decided to have this big feast. And when the feast was ready, let's see what we've got. Yummy bread, fish. This kind of looks maybe like rice or a cake. Mac and cheese or mashed potatoes. Nice candelabra to make it look lovely. Yummy apples and grapes. Some turkey. Maybe some special drinks. Special things to enjoy with the food. When the feast was all ready, the person said, "Servant, go, bring the guests." And so his helper, the servant, went to all the guests all around town who had been invited to the feast. He said, "Come, for all is now ready. It's ready, this delicious feast has been prepared." But all the guests started making excuses. The first one said, "I just bought a field." You know what, friends? Pardon me for just a moment. I think there's one here. Here we go. The first one said, "I just bought a field. A really lovely field. I just bought it, and I need to go and see it. I need to go and make sure it's just what I hoped. Sorry, please excuse me. I can't come to the special feast. I have to go check out my field." Another one said, "I just bought 5 pairs of oxen." Do you know what an ox is?